The 3:30 p.m. meeting of the Bakersfield City Council is now in session.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to call to order the 3:30 regular City Council meeting of July 15th, 2026. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Go.
Here.
Vice Mayor Core.
Here.
Councilmember Arias.
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez. Councilmember Weir.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
I am here.
Councilmember Coman.
Here.
And Councilmember Bashir Tosh.
Here.
Thank you. In keeping with Council's resolution, the public statements portion is divided into two periods. There's a period for items listed on the meeting agenda and items not on the meeting agenda. Additionally, pursuant to changes in state law, the City Council will now accept public statements via phone access and in person. And to all of you who are here today, thank you so much for your willingness to be flexible. We know anytime there's a new system, there are little challenges involved, but we will all agree, I hope, to give each other grace as we work through this system that ultimately we hope will be better for all involved. So thank you all for navigating whatever you had to do out there unexpectedly, and we'll just move forward together. Does that sound good? Nod your head. Hopefully, yes. Statements for items listed on this afternoon's agenda are given a 2-minute time limit, 10 minutes for participants by phone, and 10 minutes for in-person participants. 20 minutes total. Statements regarding Statements regarding items not listed on the agenda are also given a 2-minute time limit, 10 minutes for participants by phone, and 10 minutes for in-person participants. If you have written comments that are longer than your verbal statement, give them to the clerk, who will give copies to the council. If you're here to make a public statement, please register using the kiosk at the back of the chambers where you entered. Staff will be there to help if you're needing that. And we ask that you select whether you're here to speak on an item listed on this afternoon's agenda or in a matter not on the agenda. Speakers who do not identify a specific agenda item will be presumed speakers for the non-agenda portion. Those speakers will be called during the non-agenda portion of the meeting. Everyone in attendance is in person or by phone is expected to adhere to the rules of decorum established by resolution of the City Council. Failure to abide by the city's rules of decorum, including any disruptive behavior that interferes with our ability to have an orderly and efficient meeting, prevents the City Council from conducting the business of the city. Consider this a first warning to everyone participating that conduct that disrupts the meeting may result in expulsion and/or the chambers being cleared. Behavior that disrupts the meeting includes repetitive statements, shouting, hate speech, interrupting staff or presenters during the meeting, speaking out of turn, outbursts from the audience. And telephonic participants are expected to adhere to the same rules of decorum as those attending here in person. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers regarding items not listed on the agenda? We'll start with the phone comments, if you have any of those, and then we'll move on.
Speak by phone. We do have 2 speakers in person. The first speaker is Eddie Lane.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Eddie Lane with the Sierra Club. Thank you for committing $500,000 to purchase and plant trees. You listened to the voices of the community. This was not a staff recommendation, unlike the over $1 million that is in current contracts for tree trimming and removal, up to 725 trees removed. Our July 6 recommendations, endorsed by Building Healthy Communities and Leadership Council for Accountability and Justice, and their emails attached, are: 1, for accountability and public confidence, that the dollars are well spent, that this $500,000 be designated in a separate account, an urban greening capital expenditure account, with monthly reporting of funds spent. 2, a community-based plan be developed through special meetings of the city's Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods Committee, preferably in community settings such as Friendship House. We need you, sorry to say this, please understand, we need you horses, this is an analogy, to listen directly to the public regarding the use of these funds. The initial staff idea presented last week was to purchase and plant 900 trees using this $500,000. That's over $500 per tree. Bakersfield can do better. That's putting the cart before the horse. The public needs to be offering suggestions directly to you. Then you can provide the size and color and structure of the cart for city staff to best use this $500,000. We have a model. The model is the Kern River Parkway. Decades ago, volunteers planted hundreds of trees along the parkway, which are being enjoyed today. We have time. Today's July 15th. We can develop a plan by October 15th. One additional request today, I would request a report from 2025-26 of funds used for tree planting. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Madam Clerk, next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Raul Contreras.
Welcome.
Mayor,
Please
can you give me
introduce
just a
yourself.
moment
Sure.
to reset the
I'm having
timer?
a hard time
Oh.
hearing, but I have 2 minutes to say something.
That's okay. We just need 1 minute. If you just want to sit down right there, we need our city clerk to come back. Just sit right in the front seat. Oh, you can just sit there, just 1 minute, please. Thank you. That's not a problem, and we understand.
Technical issue aside, the next speaker is Raul Contreras.
Mr. Contreras, you may speak now.
Go ahead.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, I'm here for what the police classify as a 2-day staged live band event that happens every Friday and Saturday night, starting at 2:30 in the morning and going till 6 a.m. For the past year, I have my complaints. They have fireworks. There's no license for the bar. I'm really basically just coming in front of you, trying to bring it to your attention. I don't know how to stop it other than I know they're applying for a conditional use permit, possibly a zone variance to do this legal party that starts every Friday and Saturday for the past year. I've lived there for 8 months. Every time I call, they show up and they do nothing. They just say, take it up with the city council. And like I said, here's my list of all the days for years where they will not do nothing. The fire department won't respond. They have no business permit. They have no ABC license. It's got a bar with bar stools right in the front window. And it starts every Friday and Saturday night.
Thank
So
you, Mr.
that's it.
Contreras. Mr. Clegg, is there someone who can assist him in just getting the information, and then we'll follow up with you? So where would you like him to go to get connected with
Alex,
somebody?
if you could please take his gentleman's
Mr.
information.
Contreras, that young man right there will help you, and we'll take your information. Thank you. Madam City Clerk, do we have any other speakers?
The next speaker is Abby Power.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Council and Mayor. My name is Abby Power. I'm a policy advocate with Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability. We're in support of the request from the Sierra Club to conduct community listening sessions and include community input in the creation of a plan to allocate the $500,000 which is available for tree planting. Community members should be involved as the tree canopy is something that impacts the everyday life and well-being of Bakersfield residents. We suggest that multiple meetings be held to gather community input during times which are accessible for many residents, for example, a 12 p.m. meeting and a 6 p.m. meeting, and that the location of these meetings be held in community centers or schools near the communities that are lacking tree canopy, and the options to participate virtually should also be available. Secondly, I would like to comment on the availability of the general plan, and we would like to request that the city extend the comment deadline for the general plan. The general plan was released on July 7th without notification until this past Monday, July 13th. So we would like to ask that the city extend the comment deadline so that residents are able to participate in commenting on the general plan, and also release translations of the general plan in both Spanish and Punjabi to ensure that all Bakersfield residents have the opportunity to comment on and review the plan. And thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ms. Power. And do we have any other speakers?
Marigo, that was the final speaker for non-agenda items.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Agenda item public statements.
Do we have any agenda item public statements? Madam Clerk?
Marigo, we have not received any requests to speak by phone or in person for agenda items.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Closed session item 5A, public employee performance evaluation, city manager.
Motion to motion to adjourn to closed session.
We're adjourned to closed session. And for the record, Councilmember Gonzalez is here. He arrived at 3:37. Reconvening the 3:30 City Council meeting. Vice Mayor?
Action on closed session item. City manager's evaluation has not concluded and will be continued to the August 5th meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we stand adjourned at 5:13. Thank you all for being here. We have a 5 o'clock meeting that's going to take just a few minutes, but we're going to do a technology switch out. We'll do the 5 o'clock meeting, and then we'll do the 5:15 meeting. But 5 is very fast. One more time. It's my pleasure to call to order the 5 p.m. Public Benefit Corporation special meeting of July 15th, 2026. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Go,
Here.
Vice Chair Core,
Here.
Councilmember Arias,
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez, Councilmember Weir,
Here.
Councilmember Smith, Councilmember Coman, and Councilmember Bashirtosh.
Here.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers for this meeting, which is a different meeting?
Mayor Go, no speaker cards have been received for the Public Benefit Corporation meeting.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Adoption of minutes. Item 4A, adoption of minutes for the July 9th, 2025 special meeting.
Thank you.
Motion to adopt the minutes of the October 17th special meeting minutes. Oh, July 9th, sorry. Adoption
July.
of the minutes for the July 9th, 2025 special meeting minutes.
You have a motion. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved with Councilmember Gonzalez, Smith, and Coman absent.
Thank you. And with that, we have no other further business, and the 5 p.m. meeting stands adjourned at 5:17. And thank you all for your patience. We're going to need a quick technology switch out from that past meeting, and so we'll start the 5:15 meeting as soon as technology is ready. For those of you who wish to speak, and if you haven't signed in yet at the kiosk, we're doing a new system today, so you're welcome to go back there with staff who will help you.
Welcome to the Bakersfield City Council meeting. This television broadcast is brought to you by the local cable companies, the County of Kern, and the City of Bakersfield. You can watch the rebroadcast of this meeting Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 10 a.m., and the following Wednesday at 7 p.m. You can download the agenda for this meeting at www.bakersfieldcity.us. Presiding over this evening's meeting, the Honorable Mayor Karen K. Go.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to call to order the 5:15 regular City Council meeting of July 15th, 2026. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Go,
Here.
Vice Mayor Corr,
Here.
Councilmember Arias,
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez,
Here.
Councilmember Weir,
Here.
Councilmember Smith,
I'm here.
Councilmember Coman,
Here.
and Councilmember Bashir Tosh.
Here.
Welcome to all of you. Tonight we have interpreters for Spanish and Punjabi. At this time, I'd like to ask those interpreters to come up and let the audience know that equipment is available in Spanish and English. So would you, the two interpreters, just come up and in Punjabi and in Spanish, just quickly let them know that the equipment's back there.
Para los que ocupen intérpretes para el día de hoy en español, estamos estacionados acá atrás. Le podemos dar el equipo.
Thank you.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਪਾਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਕੰਨਾਂ ਚਲਾ ਲਿਓ ਤੇ
Thank you. And if you're here to speak during the public statements portion of the meeting, we'll ask you to pre-register right back there at the kiosks, and staff is there to assist you. At this time, Rick Anthony, who is our Assistant City Manager, will offer our invocation. Thank you so much, Rick, for your service to our community. Following the invocation, Ariel Abrego, who is a summer intern with the Public Works Department, will lead us in the pledge. Ariel is a design engineering intern in our Public Works Department through the Bakersfield Youth Jobs Program. She's a senior at Centennial High School, president of the Red Cross Club Link Crew member. She'll be attending CTEC in the upcoming year as a pharmaceutical technician. She's secretary of the Junior Figure Skating Club, and she's currently obtaining her associate's degree in science at Bakersfield College. That's a lot to do, Ariel. Would you please stand?
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for another opportunity to come and do the city's business tonight. We thank you, Father, for this great privilege and honor to lead and govern. We confess, dear God, that we fall short on so many occasions, and so we ask you right now for divine wisdom, for guidance, for compassion, and to continue to help us dwell together in unity for the greater good. We love you and we pray all these things in Christ's name. Amen. Amen.
Please stand, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Mr. Anthony prayed, it's a privilege to serve, and indeed it is a privilege to serve all of you. Thank you all for joining us today. Today is going to be a little different because we're implementing some new systems. And so what we're going to do is to give each other grace. You know, when you're starting off with a new system, sometimes there are little glitches here and there, but we'll get through this together and we'll figure out how to move forward. And if you have questions, staff will be back there to assist you. We want to make sure that our public gets an opportunity to speak and we are able to keep moving forward even though we're trying something new. But thank you to everyone who helped get this system going. Here are a few Here are a few guidelines to help our meeting run smoothly. We request that you turn off your phones. Please be courteous in the use of cameras and videos. For safety reasons and as a courtesy to others, no signs are allowed in the council chamber or in the lobby. Applause is allowed during the presentations portion of the meeting, but not during other portions of the meeting. Everyone in attendance, in person or by phone, is expected to adhere to the rules of decorum established by resolution of the City Council. Failure to abide by the city's rules of decorum, including any disruptive behavior that interferes with our ability to have an orderly and efficient meeting, prevents the City Council from conducting the business of the city. Consider this a first warning to everyone participating that conduct that disrupts the meeting may result in expulsion and/or the chambers being cleared. Behavior that disrupts the meeting includes repetitive statements, shouting, hate speech, interrupting staff or presenters during the meeting, speaking out of turn, and outbursts from the audience. Telephonic participants are expected to adhere to the same rules of decorum as those attending. Madam Clerk, now we're on to public statements. In keeping with Council's resolution, the public statements portion is divided into two periods. There's a period for items listed on the meeting agenda and items not on the meeting agenda. Additionally, pursuant to changes in state law, the City Council will now accept public statements via phone access and in person. Statements for items listed on tonight's agenda are given a 2-minute time limit, 10 minutes for participants by phone, and 10 minutes for persons participating. For in-person participants, 20 minutes total per agenda item. The consent calendar as a whole constitutes one agenda item. Statements regarding items not listed on the agenda are given a 2-minute time limit, 10 minutes for participants by phone, and 10 minutes for in-person participants, 20 minutes total. If you have written comments that are longer than your verbal statement, give them to the clerk, who will give copies to the council. If you're here to make a public statement, please register using the kiosk in the back of the chambers where you entered. Staff will continue to be available if you need assistance. We ask that you select whether you're here to speak on an item listed on tonight's agenda or in a matter not on the agenda. Speakers who do not identify a specific agenda item will be presumed speakers for the non-agenda portion and will be called during the non-agenda portion of the meeting. If you're here on consent calendar public hearing items 7A through C, now is not the time to speak. You'll be given an opportunity to speak when those items are called later. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers on reports item 9B?
Ergo, there are 2 speakers registered for item 9B.
Given that there are public speakers for report item 9B, and in light of the significance of the general plan update, this document is only updated once every 20 years. We're going to have public comments on 9B after that item is called, and so you'll hear staff's comments, staff's report, and then you'll be able to comment on that one. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers regarding items not listed on the agenda?
Marigo, we have received 9 speakers in person with none on the phone.
Thank you. Will you call the first speaker, please?
The first speaker is Abby Power, followed by Manuel Ramirez.
Thank you. And just a reminder to the audience, if you would adjust the microphone height and speak right into the mic, please. Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Abby Power. I'm actually reading a comment on behalf of someone else. I'm reading it on behalf of Noris Torres. Hello, my name is Noris Torres, and I'm a resident of the city of Bakersfield. 22 years ago, I came to live here. I would like the city to help us to clean up our area around Plans and Hale. My address is 1907 Filson Street in Bakersfield, California. There is a lot of trash, and there are people living there in encampments created from the trash, and us as residents of this area do not feel safe allowing our kids to go out to bike or walk near this area. I would really like to have been here tonight, but it was not possible for me due to my work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to Ms. Torres, we thank you for your comments, and Ms. Powers, thank you for delivering those. Madam Clerk? Next speaker,
Mayor,
please.
if I can make a comment.
Go ahead.
Ms. Power, thank you so much for reading that. That is actually in Ward 1 and is one of the biggest issues that we're working through as a team at the city. If you could please put me in contact with that constituent, would love to talk to them and talk about the work that's scheduled to be done to address that issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Manuel Ramirez, followed by Lindsay Parker.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Manuel Ramirez. I'm a lifelong resident in the city of Bakersfield. Me están matando. They're killing me. I tried to stop. Are you okay? I'm not mad at you. These are the last words spoken by Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, Juan Sebastian Guerrero, Alex Pretty, and Renee Good before they were murdered by untrained masked ICE agents. But not long ago, our communities were also terrorized by these agents, and thankfully, no one in our community has lost their life. This is an issue that we see growing across America. And unfortunately, this administration chose the Central Valley in California to start these ICE raids to terrorize our communities. The reason I'm standing before the council this evening is to ask that the city bring up on the next agenda an ordinance declaring the city of Bakersfield a sanctuary city and protecting our undocumented neighbors, folks that get up every morning like my grandfather did and go to work. I fear, and I'm glad that my grandfather isn't alive today, because if he was working these fields today, he would have a target on his back. I'm also asking that this council have a Truth Act forum for a bit of transparency to let us know the interactions that this city has had with ICE in the past or in the future, so that way our residents could be aware that you guys are working on our behalf. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Lindsay Parker, followed by John Hart.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Lindsay Parker, and I am a resident and parent here in Bakersfield. And I would ask that you sit with something tonight. Right now, there is a family in this city deciding whether it is safe to drive to the grocery store. A parent deciding whether to send their kid to school. That fear did not have to become the normal way of life here, but it has. And you have the power to change that, and you haven't used it yet. Over 84,000 immigrants call Bakersfield home. They are your constituents, and they build this community alongside the rest of us. Every day that you don't act, you are telling them that they don't matter enough to protect. A sanctuary city resolution isn't complicated. Stop city resources from being used for federal immigration enforcement. Create an ICE-free zone on city property and protect the people who trusted the city enough to call it home. This is your moment. And years from now, people will remember who stood up for their neighbors and who stayed silent. Please add the Sanctuary City resolution to your next agenda. Bakersfield is watching, and so are all the people that call this city home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is John Hart, followed by Justin Mokry.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you. I'm going to read as quickly as possible to make the 2 minutes. I'd like to start by talking about some of the demographics of our community. Bakersfield's a predominantly Hispanic city, population 55%. We are politically considered a red city, yet we are home to 78,448 registered Democrats versus 78,731 Republicans. We have between 3,400 and 4,500 Muslims in the greater Bakersfield area. We have 250,000 to 300,000 non-Christians living in Bakersfield, and this includes an estimated 70 to 80,000 persons who identify as belonging to other world religions. We employ between 4,800 and 5,000 full-time teachers from K through 12 in Bakersfield. There are just shy of 130,000 K through 12 students enrolled in Bakersfield Public Schools. And according to the National Institutes for Health, as many as 10% of those students may be LGBTQ. There are an estimated 19,000 to 22,000 gay people living in Bakersfield. I do have reliable sources for all of these stats that I've just put to you. As you can see, quite a bit more diversity than our perceived straight white Christian Republican reputation. Yet each of these groups that make up a significant portion of our community have one thing in common. They have all been, in one manner or another, demonized, publicly attacked, targeted, and/or dehumanized by the organization and its leader that the city of Bakersfield partnered with to bring this month's fireworks show and community event to the park at Riverwalk. The show has come and gone, thousands attended, and I could pretty much bet that most of the attendees did not know that the city partnered with one of the most extreme MAGA organizations operating in the United States. And I believe they had a right to know that. The 500,000 member Moms for America, identified by Southern Poverty Law Center as a hate group, the leader, Kimberly Fletcher, who was also the CEO and director of Fireworks Event, is among the most extreme, radical MAGA cultists I have ever...
Your time's up. Can you just add a couple more sentences?
Yeah,
and bring
I
your
have ever
comments
researched.
to close?
And I would just like to say I assume some responsibility for not finding out about this early enough. Otherwise, I would have arranged a protest at the park. And I'll leave my full comments with you so you could read. I had a few more sentences, but I'll leave those with
Sure,
you.
right there, and then the clerk will get copies to the council. Thank you, Mr. Hart. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Justin Mokry, followed by Serenity.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Justin Mokry, and I'm a senior at Bakersfield Christian High School. This past March, I witnessed something that stayed with me. On a day of extreme heat at a Bakersfield bus stop, I saw a mother holding her young child close. At first, I thought she was just comforting him. But then I realized she was using her own body to shield him from the sun because there's no shade available. The moments that made me ask is, in one of the hottest cities in the nation, why are so many residents forced to wait for public transportation without basic protection from the heat? To better understand this issue, I analyzed all the active bus stops I could find across Bakersfield. I found that fewer than 177 out of over the 1,000 bus stops, less than 17% have any form of shade. Through this research, I developed the Bakersfield Bus Stop Shade and Heat Protection Act, a proposal that prioritizes installing shade at the bus stops with the greatest need using ridership, heat exposure, and community vulnerability data. However, through this process, I realized an even larger challenge. Cities lack data necessary to even know where bus stops are located. That realization helped me develop AB 1599 alongside policymakers across California. The legislation will create a statewide California transit stop registry, giving communities the standardized data needed to identify, analyze, and prioritize transit stops so investments like shade infrastructures can be directed where the most need is. Today, I respectfully ask the council to support AB 1599 through a formal letter of support. I also hope to continue working alongside the city to advance my Bakersfield Bus Stop Shade and Heat Protection Act. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Mokry. Next speaker,
Mayor,
please.
if I could please quickly respond.
Yes.
Justin, just want to say thank you so much. Over the past week, I had the opportunity to connect with you. Just want to say thank you as a high school student getting involved in this issue and looking for meaningful changes and solutions to this problem. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the 62,000 residents in Ward 1, which oftentimes are home to many of these types of situations that you're describing. We have many bus stops where there's not even a bench, but there's simply a sign and a pole that says that the bus will come by. And so I just want to say thank you for doing your research. I'm also on the Laws and Legislation Committee, and so I would actually like to make a referral that this council considers support for AB 1599 through that committee. So I'll make that referral tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Serenity, followed by Miguel.
Okay, if I look at my notes on my phone.
Sure. Welcome. Please introduce
Hello,
yourself.
community. Hi. So I've been thinking about speaking and I've been wanting to say something about what's been going on in the community and what's been going on in the world for a while. And every day I think I should do that and I should write a letter and I don't, and I'm here. I put it out there in my life that that it's time to say something, and I'm scared, and so are they. And I'm here to request everyone in here to understand the complexity of the human experience, that this is not just about that they're undocumented. This is the land of the free. This is the land of the free. That's the Statue of Liberty. Give me you're tired, you're hungry. We all know it. We know what I'm talking about. And it's time for me to stop being quiet because I have a lot of passion and I have a lot of awareness. And it's so our voice shakes and we speak anyway. So I tell myself our voice shakes and we speak anyway. I have a love for this community. I do. I love this community. I take the bus every day. I take the bus every day. I walk and I meet people. I meet all walks of people. I've met people who have a lot of money, people who have any money. And I've got something in common with everybody that I've ever met. And what we all have in common in here in this room right now is our humanity. And we have our job lives. We have our job lives, and then we have our lives. We go to sleep at night, we wake up in the morning, we have thoughts, we have feelings, complexities of life. And these people deserve to have their complexities of their life and not to be terrified every day about being abducted by these people who have no right. No right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. We don't allow, I realize you're passionate, but we just don't allow applause in the chamber during this portion. Thank you. Madam Clerk, next speaker, please. 10 minutes is allotted for the in-person, but I'm going to go ahead and extend it. Go ahead and call the next three, please.
The next speaker is Miguel, followed by Carter Beardsley.
Wait. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. My name is Miguel Bautista. I am a UFW organizer. And as an organizer, I can tell you that it is my job to every day knock on people's homes. And I can see the fear in their eyes. I can see whether they do not know if it's going to be a neighbor that's knocking on their door or an ICE agent. Recently, I was just in Oxnard fighting for people's rights, fighting so that they can better their working conditions. And it's that same fear that I saw. And I recall during COVID, our neighbors, our community banded together to help out the elderly, to help out the sick, to provide groceries, to provide basic necessities. During the ICE raids last year, the same thing happened. Our community also banded together. And as the UFW, as a representative of the UFW, I can tell you that we are doing our part. We sued the Trump administration last year, and we were able to provide an injunction against ICE, and I asked the city to do its part now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Carter Beardsley, followed by Charlotte O'Brien.
Good evening, Council. So, like some of the other folks
Mr.
here...
Beardsley, can you speak in the mic, please?
Yeah,
Thanks.
sorry. I'm usually pretty loud. Good evening, Council. Tonight, I don't have anything prepared, but I, like some of the folks in this room, am asking this Council to take action on what's happening with immigration. And I want to address the fact that there are federal jurisdictions, there are local jurisdictions, there are state jurisdictions, and I completely understand this. And I recognize that there is state law that precedes this. I recognize that there are things that are in place and in action. I also recognize that the city still has the opportunity to put into policy many of the practices that the Bakersfield Police Department has taken. The city has the opportunity to put into place these ice-free zones to continue to protect our community. And look, at the end of the day, whether you're a conservative, whether you're a liberal, if you're a conservative, I think that making sure that local dollars don't go to federal government and that the federal government doesn't overreach is a wonderful thing. If you're a liberal, then making sure that we are protecting our constituents from ICE is a good thing. But regardless, if you're from Bakersfield, if you're a member of this community, we cannot deny what's happening right now. We can't deny the fact that there is atrocities happening. We just saw 2 people in the last week get murdered, and it is hard to say that we can sit here and do nothing. And so perhaps we can't force, ICE to be completely out of the city. Perhaps there's not a million things that the city can do, but if this is the one thing that the city can do, let this be a show of support for the 84,000 immigrants that call this community home. Let this be a show of support for our community because the time is calling for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next speaker, please.
The last registered speaker is Charlotte O'Brien.
Welcome. Please
Thank you.
introduce yourself.
My name is Charlotte O'Brien, and I'm directing my comments tonight to both council members and to the city manager, as I recently learned that Bakersfield is a charter city. Our nation is in the throes of insanity. Here in Bakersfield, we have an opportunity to, if not stopping the insanity altogether, to at least mitigate the insanity. ICE's current campaign is fundamentally wrong and deeply un-American. We are a nation of immigrants. We are a city of immigrants. Let's embrace humanity towards our fellow immigrants. Let's show our children and our grandchildren that we the people prevailed so that they will experience what we the people actually means. Please add the proposed sanctuary city ordinance to your next meeting's agenda for a thoughtful vote, because this is our opportunity to show the country that Bakersfield is extraordinary, not ordinary. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the speakers that have come today. I want to specifically respond to community members that have come to make sure that in every public space that you have access to, this is your public space, we serve you, the public, that you are able to raise the issue that we are seeing in every corner of the country. And what happens elsewhere happens to us too. We're watching it from our phones, and none of this is normal. It's not normal. It is not normal for us to be watching families lose their loved ones on their way to work. It is not normal for somebody to leave their home and never return. It is not normal for families to live in fear of who is knocking on their door. It is not normal for us to not know our neighbors and not be able to take care of each other. And it is not normal for us to be so distant from one another in one community where, like somebody said, we are all immigrants to this place. Just this week, we've seen 2 individuals, 2 fathers lose their lives, and that's only what's come to light. That's only what we've actually seen. ICE has been in Bakersfield, has been in Kern County, showed up here first, as you all know, and continues to be here. There were reports of them being here just this week, and what has happened instead is people go into high alert and hide and protect their own, but it's not enough when the cruelty goes beyond our understanding. And we hear time and time again that these are unprecedented times. I mean, I don't even think that anyone who I can speak for myself, but I could not ever fathom it going to this extent, where I, even as a city council member, often feel helpless that we have now 4 detention facilities in Kern County. We have 1 in downtown Bakersfield, and I, as a city council person, am not able to go and see what the conditions of the individuals there even are. And that is in our city. That is under my responsibility as vice mayor of a city where this detention facility is. There are layers and layers and levels of bureaucracy that prevent us from just doing the right thing. And often doing the right thing is the hard thing. And time again, you know, we're hearing, well, there's already a state law that protects our community, so this is all pointless, and doing this doesn't help anything, it only hurts, and we don't want to put a magnifying glass on our city. Well, the magnifying glass has been on our city since this first began and continues to be. And if you don't have at least one example in your circle, whether it's your employees, whether it's your own relatives, then I think you should consider yourself very lucky, because it is extremely scary. There are entire industries that have changed because employees have been continue to be abducted, but it's not just about people's labor, it's about people's lives. Like someone said, it's about the humanity. And if the comments today come as a surprise to anyone, I don't think they should, because it is my duty sitting in this chair as an elected official to not only just speak on the infrastructure needs of this city or of this community, but what is on and in people's hearts every day and what everyone's experiences are, because those weigh much heavier than someone's road in front of their home needing to be repaved. If your family member does not return from work and you don't know which detention facility they're taken to, it is cruel, it is inhumane. And I can't sit idle. I haven't since being a community organizer. I used to visit in the Mesa Verde detention facility, and if we want to talk about how inhumane these systems can be to people, it is very evident there, where they completely strip you of your humanity. My request today is from what we've been asked of our community today. There's a mention of a Truth Act forum. I would love for us to explore that. I would also like to sit down with our community and have a public forum so that we can have a conversation. I would love to invite our city attorney's office there, if that's permissible, and see where and how we can take the sanctuary city policy and implement and what we can implement from it. So I'd like to make that referral to the city attorney's office today. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk? Councilmember Gonzalez.
Sorry, Mayor. Thank you so much. I want to first and foremost thank all of those community members to speak out today regarding these awful incidents and real tragedies that we've experienced both firsthand within our community and throughout the country related to ICE. It is nothing short of terrorizing our neighborhoods and our communities and our immigrant communities, and frankly, many of our citizens who happen to be people of color who have also been terrorized by ICE. It is unacceptable, and it is incumbent upon every single American, every single person to speak out, because I believe it is unconstitutional. And so I am thankful that you have come out today to this council, to this dais, to speak out and to speak your truth and to ask for a resolution and to ask for a Truth Act forum. I myself have asked and called upon the police chief and the city manager to clarify city policies, and that and to be clear that we were going to follow already established state law, that we do not coordinate with ICE. And the chief at the time, Chief Terry, came before this dais and made that clear, that in no way we are coordinating. And I think we ought to do more. So I like the idea of the Truth Act forum. I will concur with Councilwoman Kaur, Vice Mayor Kaur. And I do believe that we, as a council, ought to think through a resolution that sends a message, a clear message, to our community, to this community, and to the rest of the country, that we believe that these acts are un-American, and we believe in this community that every hardworking person, community member, every tax-paying member of our community, every contributor of our community ought to be treated with respect and dignity and humanity. Every single human ought to be treated with respect, dignity, and humanity. And so I would like to make a referral tonight to the city manager's office that we work on a resolution within the Committee of Laws and Legislation. I believe that's the committee that's most appropriate to take this up. But that we work on a resolution that establishes what this council's position is, and that also clarifies to the broader community what all of our rights are, and certainly what the rights are of immigrants. And also, we have to be careful we don't sugarcoat things, or we don't give people a false sense of security, because we are dealing with the federal government. And they do have, that there are cases where ICE agents still perform actions within cities that have called themselves sanctuary cities. And so the last thing I would want to do is to send a message to our community that they're in fact protected when we don't really have much more than a resolution to do the work of protecting them. And so we got to be very careful, but I do want us to make sure that we work on a policy.
Excuse me, Councilmember, Mayor and Council, just for a quick information, we do have a Laws and Ledge next week that had already had items scheduled and teed up. I think we would be hard pressed to adjust the agenda for next week, but we may just if you don't see it on that agenda, it's because it's such a short time frame. But we may need to schedule a special meeting of the Laws and Ledge to address that topic.
Thank you for that. I was just going to ask you, let's not wait, another 2 months, but let's make a point of getting a special meeting for that committee to develop that resolution and to bring it back clearly with the support of the city attorney's office, so that we can do our part as a council collectively. But again, thank you so much to all those who spoke out today.
Vice Mayor would like to make.
I wanted to clarify my referral really quickly.
Vice
Sorry.
Mayor is going to make a clarification, then we'll go to Councilmember Arias, and then if you'd like to speak after that. Yeah.
I wanted to clarify my referral that it was taking the sanctuary city policy that has been created and sent to us and drafting. That's my referral, and for that to come back to council, not going to a community. Mine is going to the city attorneys,
Then
and
I'm
maybe
gonna
then we
object to
can
that referral.
maybe we can work in coordination with the city manager's office. But that was my referral. Just I wanted to clarify that, just so you don't have two referrals going your way.
And so Councilmember Coleman has an objection to that referral.
Yeah, that was an expansion, Vice Mayor. There was an expansion on your comments earlier. You had proposed a committee to look at that, and then you just went a little farther and asked for staff to prepare a sanctuary city policy. And so, yeah, I understand the tensions around this issue. It's a very important issue, and I'm not trying to diminish it. But the state law is very clear on this. The state has the ultimate authority on this issue. Gavin Newsom himself had asked the cities to let them fight the battle, let the state fight the battle on our behalf. And so I don't want to see any time spent from staff developing a sanctuary city policy until it comes back to City Council for further discussion.
Sorry, to clarify, the Truth Act form is what I meant, that we bring community members together, and that I believe that exists at the county level. Is that true? That's my understanding, that a Truth Act form exists at the county level where it is shared with the public how much coordination, what coordination looks like.
Madam City Attorney.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
But just so I understand, your referral then to my office is to get the Truth Act form up and going, and Councilmember Gonzalez's motion is to have that sanctuary policy referred to committee.
It's referral, right?
Referral.
Yeah.
Correct, Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. Correct, Councilmember Gonzalez?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm clarifying because I want to also be respectful of Councilmember Coleman. Since he objected to the vice mayor, then that would have to come back for a vote. But I don't think now that there's an objection because the vice mayor corrected it for the Truth Act form.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Sorry, can you clarify for my understanding, if I make a referral and there's an objection to my referral, it cancels my referral out?
It
Comes
doesn't
back for a
cancel.
vote.
It comes back for a vote.
Correct. Mayor, Vice Mayor, as you all know, when someone makes a referral, if there is an objection to the referral, then that referral comes back to the next meeting and we vote on it.
Okay.
Thank you. And now, Councilmember Arias.
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to say thank you to everyone who came out and spoke tonight about this important issue. I think we were all shocked, in the early weeks of January when we saw what was happening here in Kern. And we continue to be shocked with the level of enforcement and what's taking place in our communities across the country. It is not right for any human to be hunted, any innocent human, and certainly not by a mechanism and a function of the government. And so I just want to say thank you for coming out and shedding light on this issue. I concur with Councilmember Gonzalez. I think this is something that is really important for us to consider as a community and as a council. But I too don't want to give false hope and a false sense of security to our neighbors who are literally under attack. And so I want to make sure that what we pass has some ability to both send a message to folks in Washington, but also identifies ways in which we can be even more helpful, and perhaps that's mostly through education. Perhaps there are other ways that I'm simply not aware of, but I think that it's going to require some additional research about what other cities have done, and I'm looking forward to hearing that at the Laws and Legislation Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam City Attorney.
I'm sorry, Mayor, Vice Mayor. I just want to make sure I understand. So if the Vice Mayor wants the City Attorney's Office to draft a policy and come back, it sounds like it's the same policy that Councilmember Gonzalez asked to go to Leg and Lit. So or the committee. I can do either or. The Vice Mayor's is quicker. I can draft the policy and bring it back and you all can vote on it. But Councilmember Coleman objected to that. So if there's an objection to that referral, then there's really an objection to both of your referrals, and we need to bring the whole thing back. The whole thing meaning, are we going to have my office draft the referral, and are we going to discuss it in committee, or what do you want to do?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Let me see if I can
Sure.
Clarify here. So what I heard the Vice Mayor land on was a referral related to the Truth Act Forum and giving you direction regarding the Truth Act Forum. My referral is distinct from that.
Yes.
And then I'm asking for the resolution to be drafted in Laws and Litigation Committee.
Correct.
So I think those are two separate referrals.
I understand that, and I'm clear with yours. I think I would like the Vice Mayor to clarify hers.
I can clarify. I asked for both in my referral, both the sanctuary policy and the Truth Act form. But if there's an objection, if Councilmember Coleman's objection applies to both of our referrals, then my priority is just making sure that we act in urgency based on this happening actively in our community, advocates and community members being in front of us. I don't want it to go to a committee and then never come back to us. So I know there's a committee next week. If the next meeting after that can be soon after, or if we have a date for that and that can be shared with the public, I would be fine with it going to the committee, the policy being developed in the committee itself.
Well, let me just, if I may, at this point, if there is an objection, it would have to wait until the next council meeting for it to be voted on, for us to actually move forward.
To a committee.
To a committee.
That's my question to the city attorney.
Let the city attorney clarify that's
The answer
exactly
is
what it
yes.
is. Yes.
The answer is yes. And
That is the
again,
policy.
I agree with Councilmember Gonzalez that there's two separate issues here. One is the Truth Act Forum, and maybe we can just take that one right off the bat and take care of that. I understand that the referral from the vice mayor to my office was to organize a Truth Act forum and to move forward. I did not hear any objection from Councilmember Coleman on that. That will take place. So the other issue then is the resolution on the sanctuary policy. I heard Councilmember Coleman object to that referral.
Yes, I'm okay with it going to the committee to be discussed, but I'm not okay with it being drafted. I think council has to have a broader discussion before that's drafted. So I'm okay with it going to the Laws and Ledge Committee, but I'm not okay with you just coming back next meeting with an ordinance. So.
Thank you for the clarification. So Vice Mayor, in light of that, what would you then like to do?
I'm in support of it going to the committee as long as we know the date for the next committee meeting. If you could share that out too, Christian.
Well, the date for the next committee is next week, but the next meeting after that would be 2 months from then. So what I am assuming is that, given the referral from Councilmember Gonzalez, is that we would schedule a special meeting of the Laws and Ledge Committee, probably I would say within 3 to 4 weeks. That gives us enough time to prepare for that meeting. But between now and next week, where it's already scheduled, I don't think that's too quick for us to draft that up. But we could do a special within 3 to 4 weeks.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. And Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers regarding items listed on tonight's agenda, including items under consent calendar, item 6?
Agenda for item 6F4 and is Juan Hernandez Garcia.
Welcome.
Juan Hernandez Garcia, field representative for Assembly Member Dr. Baines. Oh, wow. You do get the shakes up here. It's pretty cold. Good afternoon, Mayor, council members, and staff. Assemblywoman Dr. Jasmine Baines is proud to have contributed over $400,000 to the purchase of a new robotic canine unit. This is a great asset for the police department to have, especially when dealing with serious situations like hostage negotiations, to taking fentanyl off the street safely. That's why I'm here today in support of this item. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez, and thank you, Dr. Baines, for that contribution. I don't see any requests to have items pulled by the council, and so we'll go ahead and take the vote.
Motion to accept the consent calendar agenda items 6A through 6J.
Mayor Go, if I may make an announcement.
Sure.
Consent calendar items 6A through 6J for approval. Please note that item 6E1 contains a staff recommendation to adopt resolutions approving salaries and benefits for specified units.
Thank you. And now you have a motion. Please cast your votes.
Motion was unanimously approved.
Thank you. And next item, please. Do you want a break?
Consent calendar public hearings.
Consent calendar public hearings, and just for the record, Councilmember Gonzalez is leaving at 6:07. Madam Clerk. It's now time for the consent calendar hearings. Actually, I'm going to just give a minute as people leave the chambers. Thank you for your participation. Actually, why don't we take a 5-minute break? Or 6.5. Okay, let's continue the meeting, please. It's now time for the consent calendar hearing. The purpose of this section is to vote on all of the items under consent calendar hearings in one motion without further comment. If anyone would like to speak on any of the hearing items listed, the item must be removed from this portion of the agenda. If an item is removed, it will be placed at the end of the regular public hearings portion of the meeting. Is there anyone who wishes to remove that item? Let's see, call. Have you announced?
Mayor Go, we have not received any requests via phone to remove the items, or any items from consent calendar public hearings, nor have we received any requests in person.
Thank you. Does any council member wish to remove an item from the consent calendar public hearing? So at this time, consent calendar public hearing items 7A through C is now closed. I have to open it. Open. How did we jump ahead to the other one? At this time, I'll open consent calendar public hearings items 7A through C. Does any council member wish to remove an item from the consent calendar public hearings? Seeing none, at this time, consent calendar public hearings items 7A through C is now closed.
Motion to approve consent calendar public hearing items 7A through 7C.
You have a motion, please cast your votes.
Mayor Go, before I open the vote, I did want to announce that a staff memorandum was provided regarding item 7B, transmitting a revised attachment. Motion is approved with council members Gonzalez and Coman absent.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Reports item 9A, approval of temporary grant-funded intervention worker.
Mr. Clegg.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is not a particularly large actionable item for your council. You actually approved a grant application and a grant award earlier in the spring. But we were waiting till the new fiscal year to actually appropriate these dollars and create a couple of positions. But I'm taking just an opportunity to really quickly highlight this program and the reason that we're adding these positions through this grant funding. So our Office of Violence Intervention and Prevention is designed to coordinate our evidence-informed strategies that reduce gun violence among individuals at highest risk. It has a triple bottom line where we're trying to improve community outcomes, but also individual outcomes, and at the same time improve community trust. And it's been demonstrated in other communities and demonstrated over the last 4 years that all three of those can occur at the same time in our community. Why does this matter? If you consider one non-fatal shooting or one homicide, the cost to the system, independent of harm and the cost to life being priceless, just if you look at our resources that we deploy every time one of these incidents occurs, it is an enormous amount of cost to our system. You're not meant to be able to read everything on this graph. It's just to demonstrate that we have a very strong logic model that's based on these evidence-informed practices. And there's pieces that are important for law enforcement. There's pieces that are important for outreach and case management. But there is one element of this logic model that has been a big challenge for us, and that is the immediate interruption of violence, sending individuals out to connect with other individuals who have been victims of shootings or who may be at the heart of violence, and doing initial contacts with them to then help them start into our program. So what is the Office of Violence Intervention and Prevention approach more broadly than just that diagram you saw in front of you? We do interruption. We send credible messengers into our community. We have intensive case management. We offer wraparound services. We have data-driven decision-making and strong community partnerships. But ultimately, if an individual chooses not to engage in a path out, it becomes a high priority for our law enforcement to ensure that they do not continue paths of violence. Just to let you know, our system of wraparound services as we began was a little bit light, but over the last few years, we've built up a very strong set of service partners that can offer very good services to individuals in need. This paints a picture of outcomes that we've been achieving. As you can see, multiple years with significant reductions in non-fatal shootings, as well as multiple years with significant reductions in homicides from 21 through 24. And we've learned some important lessons. We've received 2 different grants in prior years. We just received a recent grant that is a nearly $5 million grant, which I'll speak about in a moment. But some important lessons learned is that building up these types of programs and trust and relationship take time, and they're important. We have to have consistent outreach. We have to really coordinate very closely. We meet more than once a week, and we address every shooting incident specifically between law enforcement and our community partners, and reach out to every individual that is in a high-risk situation. So as I noted, we have a grant that's going to take us through March of 2029. The city does invest some public safety vital services tax dollars for our core project management team. That's our manager and some analysts and a supervisor, but it's a very small team. We use our grant funding to support our community efforts. And we're using now this new grant to just have a couple of additional, there's going to be 3 additional city intervention workers to fill a gap of that immediate interruption that's, again, been a missing piece in our program. Just for what it's worth, we were ranked the #1 scoring proposal amongst large cities, and it's going to help us to again, grow and expand our program and have more sustainability in the long run. I noted earlier in their State of the City that the city of Bakersfield has been noted. Our levels of reduction are remarkable even amongst those cities that are seeing reductions. And so we've been asked to participate in several panels and be evaluated to understand what's working well in Bakersfield. Just to give you a little bit of an insight into where we're at right now, I showed you 2021 to 2025, 2024. 2025, we had a little bit of a blip on homicides in our community overall, just meaning it was slightly higher than 24 because we'd seen those numbers go down year over year. But what was very interesting is they were not group related, meaning not gun or gang or gun related. Our homicides in 2025 for gang specifically related were still a significant reduction. And in 2026, we've actually not had any gang-related homicides, which is just, remarkable. Looking ahead, we're going to continue to serve individuals at highest risk of violence, strengthen those community partnerships. These violence intervention workers are going to help, again, be that connective tissue to respond very quickly and reach out to individuals and families. We're talking within 24 or 48 hours. But in this work, we've found you can't wait even longer than that. And right now, sometimes it's taken a week or 10 days to get to some of those individuals. We want to get to them really quickly and get them on a different path as soon as possible. And so with that, our staff recommendation is to approve the creation of these positions. Again, they're fully grant funded for the next 3 years.
Thank you, Mr. Clegg. Councilmember Bashir Tosh.
I have a myriad of questions about this one. When we originally put this through, I had asked if there was a sunset period, and you said there was a sunset. It's when the grants end. But in my opinion, that just means they're going to get laid off. We don't actually have a policy set up for grant-funded positions to how they end. Correct?
That is correct. When we have a grant-funded position, those positions go away
if we determine we want them to go away.
Correct.
But they've passed their probationary, so they're entitled to compensation even if we do terminate them.
They're actually not. They will be, eligible for unemployment through the state unemployment. But when we create a time-limited position, they know up front that it's a time-limited position and that it will close at a certain close date, and they're not subject to additional compensations beyond the time-limited position time frame that we give them.
Yeah, well, I put myself in that position like that, and I'm like, well, I've got 3 years to make myself seem so important that I don't get laid off when the grant funding is out. And I know it's $4 million, and it's 2 positions, and if you do simple math, they're not getting paid $2-something million a piece. So I'm curious as to what the other money's going, what their salary is going to be, who's going to be their direct oversight, and if we're doing so well, why do we need to expand that department and put our money? Because this is going to be a cost burden in 3 years when this runs out. And it might be worth it. It might absolutely be worth it for our community, but I think approaching it like this is kind of dangerous for us because we're not just expanding 2 different departments, we're expanding an entire department, which is going to cost money. And so maybe we lay off 2 individuals, but that expanded department that we're going to put grant funding in today is not going to go away in 3 years. So I don't see this as being a good, I don't think we've done enough legwork to make sure that whatever happens in 3 years happens correctly, and that we don't just walk into something that puts us in a financial burden. I'm all for it. People, getting in our community and helping, makes me nervous about corruption and other things if there's not a lack of oversight that could happen in this, and I worry about what it looks like in 3 years, but I don't have a whole lot of resolve in this with the information that's here. Because they will be, after their probation, there will be PERSable employees, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. So, there's just, I don't know, there's a lot of gray area here. I think that we should create something for these grant-funded positions, some type of policy, some type of internal, I don't even know if that looks like or how to even make that a request, but there needs to be a better system in place for these grant-funded positions within our city that they're paid out of their grant. It's separate than them being a part of our community, so that it doesn't put a further financial burden on our taxpayers who are already very upset with the state of things.
Council member, I'm trying to follow the separation piece. Again, I would argue that as we have set it up, it does not create a future burden. I understand your point that it may create an expectation that we want to continue those programs into the future, but I think we have strong policy already in place and legal protections that, it's not going to be a burden on the general fund by law. It may be by operations we decide we want to continue that forward. Just a couple other things to add from some of your thoughts. We acknowledge and recognize that typically we would prefer to have permanent positions for the important programs that we're operating, and that grant funding, we typically prefer not to fund full-time positions from grant funding, although we have in a few instances where we knew it was going to have a certain life cycle, but that we actually wouldn't need that going forward beyond that. This program we do anticipate will continue beyond the life of this 3 years, but also this grant is a little bit different in nature. So this grant actually from the state has a permanent funding source, meaning that there's a special tax that is funding this type of violence intervention work into the future, and we will have to apply for grants, and so it's not a guarantee, but this funding stream will continue to be there for cities that continue to demonstrate good outcomes. And so we feel a level of confidence that we're going to continue to be very competitive to receive these grants in successive cycles. This is the 3rd grant that we've received in a row on this, and again, we believe we're going to continue to be very competitive. I think, though, you bring up a great point that we are conscious of the need to identify ways to continue sustainable funding. We've looked at a couple of other communities that, as I was noting, we're ahead of the curve on most, but there are a few communities that have been doing this even longer than us and have demonstrated some additional capacity. For example, in Chicago, their numbers aren't better than ours, but they've been doing this for a long time, and they've created a foundation where they receive significant private funding because the business community in their community recognizes the value of continuing to see safety happen in their community, and they're willing to put dollars into that program. And so we've created what's called a partnership council that meets on a quarterly basis of key leaders in our community to be a brain trust and guide this work. We want to, but they're mostly institutional and CBO partners, but we've talked about adding business folks, chamber and community foundation and others to help with the long-term sustainability of this program to make sure that it can continue into the future. Also, just really quickly about some of the thoughts about oversight and auditing. As a state grant, we actually just had our first site meeting with the Board of State and Community Corrections grant representative for this grant. There's lots of oversight, lots of auditing, both internal to the city as well as it's going to be required by the state. And so I think, again, these funds are well scrutinized, well organized. And again, I'll take the feedback that we are interested in making sure that there's long-term sustainability, but given some of the financial challenges of the city currently, I didn't want to propose from the general fund to permanent positions. We want to give it these 3 years to see how these city intervention workers perform and the results that they achieve, and the next grant cycle we'll reevaluate then.
The individuals that are going to be getting this, is there a process that they go through to get this position, like
absolutely
an academy? I mean, I don't know, because that's a pretty heavy thing that they're going to be doing.
It is. So they will go through, first off, they will go through a regular city recruitment process. So they'll have to, submit applications, go through interviews, go through background checks. But then as they're selected, and of course, the job descriptions include information about the qualities that we're looking for and the lived experience as being one of those things that we think is a valuable and relevant competency to bring to the table. But even as they may come with some of those skills, there are, and for those that may not be as aware, it was a surprise to me, several years ago when I discovered this, that they have training academies now for community violence intervention workers and for community interrupters as well. The one example is the Urban Peace Institute in Los Angeles has a certification program for individuals to gain the skills and competencies to do this very challenging work. We have a strong protocol manual that we've already built up through help with the National Institute for Criminal Justice Reform and through the University of Pennsylvania Crime and Policy Lab that we've been using with our community-based organizations over the last couple of years. And so we have strong training materials here locally, but we're going to also send folks off to get certified in this work from some of these credentialing agencies that have been created to help people in this work as well.
I think in the future it would definitely, I mean, I can't speak for the rest of the council, but I mean, if we're going to approve a temporary position that's going to turn into a permanent position that's basically going out and dealing with some pretty dangerous situations, that the job description would be useful for us to be able to review who they're going to be answering to, what type of training, because I hate coming up here and sounding like a jerk asking questions that I like to do my homework before. And I mean, even the public, if they're going to look at this and see our agenda, they're going to want to know, what does that look like? What is that? Because that's taxpayer money. Even though it's a grant, every grant, federal or state, is taxpayer money. The government exists because people pay taxes. So I mean, that's a little bit frustrating. I mean, if they're doing a great job and numbers are going down, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm saying yes to a position that I don't know what it looks like. If this could be an over-equipped vigilante, someone that could be super biased toward one side of the street because that's how they grew up, and then all of a sudden we're dealing with a hotbed of corruption. I mean, I have no idea. It's just ambiguous, and I'm not super comfortable making a decision with taxpayer money or people's lives in an ambiguous way like this, but that's just my perspective.
I appreciate your perspective, council member. I would suggest respectfully that as city staff, we follow best practices, evidence-based practices. We're going to select the right individuals. We've created protections and protocols and following those best practices. This is a challenging workspace. I will acknowledge that fully, that sometimes individuals who are in these spaces are put into stressful situations, and sometimes those who can connect best with high-risk individuals who may have had some of that lived experience, sometimes that carries with them. But I would ask council to trust that city staff is running an evidence-based program that's been very successful, and we have ways to train these individuals. And we, like I noted, we have a procedure and protocol manual that's been built in place. They have to check in every day as they come and as they go. They'll be reporting to our supervisor and to our manager over this office. And ultimately, we've been proud of the success that we have achieved, but we note opportunities to continue to make improvements, and we want to fill those gaps and do even better. And unfortunately, in the world of retaliatory violence, you're always just one incident away from something being able to spin up and out. And we've been fortunate to keep things tamped down, but having the ability to respond very quickly with these individuals is an important part of being able to respond if that does happen to occur.
Thank you, Councilmember Bashir Tosh. Councilmember Coleman.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I wanted to thank you for all the work that the Office of Violence Intervention and Prevention has, I had to read that because I had trouble with it, has made in the last few years. And I know that's kind of your baby. You kind of spearheaded that. And I think it's done wonderful stuff in the community. And I don't know where we would be without it. I did have a couple of questions that were similar to Councilmember Bashir Tash's. I'm not a, I did the rough math on this, and talking about hiring 3 people, and it's like, over $500,000 a person a year. So what are we doing over there?
Thank you, Councilmember. That was one of the comments from Councilmember Bashir Tash that I failed to respond to as well, is that of the $4.9 million, of course, it's over 3 years. And so each year, it's divided up over 3. We also are continuing to work with our community-based organizations that provide a lot of the services. And so we've partnered with the Wendell Davis Foundation, with Compassion Christian Center, and with Garden Pathways to provide many of the other services that this client base needs. For example, we'll have 4 case managers or life coaches. The individuals that the city is going to employ are going to go out and make initial contact, build some rapport with those individuals, and prepare them to be ready to go into case management. And then they'll go through case management protocols over time. The case management itself is the largest portion of the costs. And I'm going a little bit off the top of my head here, but there's more than, I think there's $1.4 million of the 4.9 that's going to employ case managers from Garden Pathways to continue to work with these individuals over a longer time period to make sure that they get some, when we say life coaching, that starts as basic as, hey, just try to have a shift in mentality, stop engaging in risky and dangerous behaviors, to then start preparing them to think about, how do I find a job? How do I do some job readiness? How do I get some education, some certification so that I can become a self-sufficient member of our community? And so we'll take clients from 0 all the way to being in a very sustainable, successful situation. And so we have funding that will go to multiple community-based organizations to continue to do the work. And by the way, we have had community-based organizations doing that work in the last 2 grants, and this grant continues to fund that same work that they've been doing in recent years. Just the one addition to what we're doing is having these city intervention workers, and we're paying for an evaluation of the program to have an academic research done because we can point to the data, but can we statistically validate that it's precisely as a result of our efforts, not without an academic study that can demonstrate that? And there were grant funds available to include that piece as well. And so we are engaging in a study to demonstrate that the outcomes of the data and the individuals are a direct result from our intervention efforts.
So you mentioned some of our partners that do some of this case management work. Is it imperative that these people that we're going to employ to intervene is it imperative that they be city employees, or can't they be, one of our contractors or something of that nature?
It's a great question, Councilmember. They have not been city employees prior because we tried with our contracted partners. We found a couple of reasons why it's very challenging for our contract partners to play the precise role that we're looking for these individuals to play. Part of it is the connectivity with law enforcement, frankly. Our community partners want to ensure that there's a distinction of the work that they do from law enforcement, that doesn't appear that they're in a law enforcement capacity. And so, going out and sort of making this initial contact has been more challenging for our community-based partners from that standpoint, but also just, candidly and frankly, most of our community-based partners are trained and experienced in doing more preventative outreach as well as the life coaching, but not this interruption. And so we haven't found the skill sets amongst our community-based organizations to provide this very intense, relentless interruption work. And we need to be very directive and be able to tell those employees, we need you to go exactly to this location in this next 24 hours. And it's been too challenging to manage that with our community-based organization contracts. And so we're turning to this as city employees because it hasn't been working for the last 2 or 3 years under that contract role.
Okay, and then my last question is just for the sake of the people in the audience, these people that we're going to hire are not going to be sworn officers, correct?
That is correct.
And so they will go out and after a violence incident, they'll go out and talk to the parties and attempt to intervene to prevent retaliation. Is that what the plan is?
That is correct. They will respond to specific incidents, as well as it may be a day later or 2 days later, an incident may have occurred, but they're going to go and knock on someone's door and say, we're aware you're involved in this incident. We want to talk with you. We want to help you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. And again, thank you very much for the work your group has done on reducing violence in the city.
Thank you, Councilmember Coleman. Vice Mayor. No, just intervention.
Okay.
9A.
Motion to approve item 9A.
You have a motion. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved with Council Members Weir and Bashir-Tash voting no and Councilmember Gonzalez absent.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Reports item 9B, presentation regarding the Bakersfield 2045 General Plan update.
If you're here to speak on report item 9B, the city clerk will call for public statements after staff's presentation. Also, please note that we have interpreters in Spanish and Punjabi that are here to assist during public statements. As stated previously, the City Council is now required to accept public statements via phone and in person. Each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes and 10 minutes for participants by phone, 10 minutes for a person who are in the chambers, and for a 20-minute total time limit for this report. Mr. Clegg.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll turn time over to Phil Burns to introduce this item.
Mr. Burns.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. It's my pleasure to introduce the Bakersfield 2045 Draft General Plan. This is a project that Planning Department's been working on for 5 years. It's been in front of the committee and the community for quite some time, a lot of input. I'd like to acknowledge efforts of a couple of planning staff members before the presentation. Principal Planner Roque Nino and Associate Planner Jose Fernandez. Both of those gentlemen put a lot of work in this project with outreach and working with the community. I also want to point out, before our presentation, what's a general plan? You had a gentleman come to the dais today that talked about shade structures. Well, coincidentally, one of our policies within the safety and hazard element is specifically that, is providing shade structures for bus stops. So it's one of those things that kind of ties together, and it's kind of interesting to have the timing of that to come forward today. Also, I want to point out we rolled out our public draft on July 8th. We had some feedback regarding extending our date due to our public notice going out a couple days later. So we've done that. We've moved it from August 21st out to the 28th to accommodate those requests. So with that, tonight, Della Costa with Rincon Consultants is here to provide an overview of what to expect in the draft plan and highlight the process moving forward. Mr. Costa.
And good evening, Mayor and Council. I am excited to be here tonight to share this major milestone with the public review of the draft general plan. So tonight, the goal is to introduce the draft general plan, give a quick overview of the process and the content of the plan so that people know how to find things that they are interested in the document, and then get any initial council feedback you might have for us tonight. As you know, this has been a multi-year effort in order to get here. So there's been a lot of collaboration in the past few years with yourselves, with the Planning Commission, with staff, and with the community at large. So this draft reflects the culmination of all of the community input that we've received over the last few years, some technical analysis that was done, and the city's priorities and ongoing planning efforts. Just a quick reminder of the process. We started this whole thing back in 2021 with researching the existing conditions and creating a pretty comprehensive background report. We then conducted extensive community engagement to determine what are the core issues, the opportunities, and the overall community vision that would guide the policy we later developed. We evaluated land use alternatives for key areas of the city and dialed in on the areas of focused change. And then we wrote the goals and policies that support and realize that vision. So we're now at the public draft general plan. There are still, I want to emphasize, there are still a lot of opportunities for refinement ahead of adoption. Comments that we receive during this public review will be integrated into the plan. There were three really big key ingredients in developing this draft that I just want to highlight. So the biggest, of course, is community input. As I said, we had a pretty extensive engagement program throughout this process, and that is still ongoing through public review. And so that was incorporated into this draft, as well as the direction yourselves have given each time that you have reviewed our deliverables, and I've spoken with you. And then you have a lot of other existing plans and programs that we worked really hard to align and incorporate into the general plan. So the goal here was to turn all of those good ideas and priorities into the policies and actions that are in the plan. Community engagement was a huge part of this process, and we've given summaries to you at each of our touch points of the input that we received. We tried to reach as many people as possible in as many different ways as possible. So there were a variety of efforts, focus group meetings, pop-ups, formal workshops, online activities, and a lot of themes emerged throughout this process. And those themes became the foundation. That is some really small text, and I'm going to apologize for that. But I'll give you an overview. So first, what we heard was a desire to preserve the existing neighborhoods while enhancing the infrastructure and access to nearby jobs and amenities. So we addressed that by directing the expected growth to the areas that are most suited for it, with infill mostly being planned for the identified focus areas and in line with the housing element. We heard a desire for better connections and transportation options throughout the city, so that was addressed by aligning general plan policies with your active transportation plan, as well as policies for safe and connected multimodal options that align with the regional transit planning. And we heard that people care a lot about maintaining a high quality of life in Bakersfield. So we have an entire chapter, the quality of life chapter, that focuses on investment in neighborhoods, as well as citywide, and how to focus efforts to help disadvantaged neighborhoods in the city. We also have the natural and historic resources chapter that addresses preservation of historic resources, parks, and open space areas. We heard about economic opportunities and a desire for maintaining a resilient economy in Bakersfield. So we have an economic development chapter that addresses business attraction and retention, workforce development, and emerging industries that the city's well positioned for. There's a lot of consideration of environmental stewardship and the local natural resources, including the Kern River. So several chapters actually address those concerns: the natural and historic resources chapter, the quality of life chapter, safety and hazards, and there is a dedicated Kern River element. And finally, residents are very proud of Bakersfield and want to celebrate and elevate the diverse cultures and the overall character of the city. So there's a downtown element that focuses on leveraging the downtown and really consolidates all of the ongoing planning for the downtown. And there are policies in natural and historic resources and quality of life that focus on preserving and enhancing historic resources, culture, and community character. I'm going to give a brief overview of what's in the document. The plan is not to go chapter by chapter tonight, but rather focus on the big picture and the overall organization so that everyone knows where to find topics that they're interested in and understand how the chapters fit together. I do also want to note that there are absolutely endless ways that you can organize a general plan. And there's a lot of overlap in all of the topics. So we try to put things in the most logical place and keep themes consolidated, but there is an ability to move those things around if you find it's not very intuitive or you expect something to be in a different chapter. Just give us that feedback and we can work with that. So the first two chapters of the general plan set the foundation for planning in Bakersfield. They really help readers navigate and understand the organization of the document. The vision and engagement chapter captures the community vision and the priorities that we heard through the engagement. And I also want to note that we will be adding a policy index to the introduction once the final organization is set and everything is completed. So after public review, there'll be a policy index so you can more quickly identify the topic you're looking for and where to go for it. More small text, I apologize. Land use and downtown elements are the foundation for development and growth. They're the framework for how things will change and grow in the city over time. And those are really focused on aligning with all the other existing efforts that are ongoing and the housing element and the downtown plans. There's a lot of policies in those elements that guide desired changes to the focus areas and foster a more complete neighborhoods throughout the city. And then there's the public facilities and services chapter, which is really about coordinating infrastructure and services to support annexation and growth areas, as well as maintaining and improving public facilities and services where that's needed. The mobility chapter helps to foster a more connected and safe transportation system for all users, and it is aligned with the Active Transportation Plan and the most recent GET Transit Plan. Economic development chapter expands on the city's strategic plan for long-term economic prosperity and resilience. And safety and hazards is focused on identifying and minimizing risk and improving community resilience. And we have natural and historic resources, the Kern River element, and the quality of life chapter. These are really about protecting what makes Bakersfield special. So natural and historic resources is about protecting and enhancing parks, open space areas, and historic resources. And I do just want to note we're coordinating with the consultant who is currently updating the Habitat Conservation Plan to make sure that the Habitat Conservation Plan and the general plan are in alignment. The Kern River element covers investments and protection of the Kern River and the adjacent parkway. So that chapter is really all things Kern River, everything from habitat, water resources, recreation, land use management around the Kern River. And then finally, we have the quality of life chapter that covers everything that's needed to promote a high quality of life in Bakersfield. So safe and well-maintained neighborhoods, strong public participation, sense of community, investment in identified disadvantaged communities, and then noise and air quality management. This is a public review draft, so there will be some updates after this based on your comments and the community's comments. and some things will be finalized before it comes to you for adoption. So some things we already know will be added are, as I mentioned, the policy index and the introduction. We'll finalize all of the maps and any changes to the organization or the policies that come out of the public comment. And then we're going to be adding some appendices like the supporting technical studies that were conducted, a summary of the outreach and engagement, and a glossary of terms. Tonight's goal is really to highlight how to read the general plan and to provide comments, and how to provide comments on the draft general plan. There will be a lot of comments to come in the next few weeks since public review just began. I have some questions, either answering tonight if you have thoughts on this tonight, or just things to think about through your review over the next few weeks. So, does the draft reflect your vision for Bakersfield going into the future? Is anything missing? Are there areas that deserve more emphasis? Are we striking the right balance between growth, economy, the environment, quality of life? What should we focus on as we refine the document? I'll come back to that in a moment for discussion, but just a quick next steps. So public review, as Mr. Burns mentioned, has been extended through August 28th. The draft is available on the project website, bakersfield2045.com. There are multiple ways to comment. There's an online comment form. Can provide comments through email, through direct contact with staff. And after the comment period closes, we will review all of those comments, update and refine the plan based on the input received. Environmental review has kicked off. It kicked off in February with the NOP. So we're expecting that to be completed early next year. And then we anticipate adoption in the spring of next year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Do you have further comment, or Mr. Clegg?
Really no further comment, except for I will be sending each one of the council members a specific link to the general plan to make it easier for you to get to it.
Thank you. Now we'll go to the public. Madam City Clerk, do we have any speakers who'd like to speak?
Mayor Go, we have not received any requests to speak by phone. We do have 2 speakers in person. The first is Abby Power.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Abby Power. I'm a policy advocate with Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability, as well as a Bakersfield resident. And I'm asking the city to further extend the comment deadline of the draft general plan, and also to ensure that all residents who are interested can participate in sharing feedback and comments on the plan. Thank you to the city for extending the deadline 1 week due to the initial notification going out late, but in order to ensure that all Bakersfield residents can review the draft general plan, we request that the city release versions of the draft plan in both Spanish and Punjabi, and then set a 45-day public review and comment period from the date those versions are released. We also ask that the city host at least 2 or more workshops to engage residents in commenting and providing feedback on the draft plan. The majority of workshops on the general plan were held between 2 and 4 years ago. The residents who participated then do not get the opportunity to engage face-to-face with the city about how their recommendations were implemented in the plan, and there are also residents who did not know about the previous planning workshops but would like to ensure that they have opportunities to speak directly with city staff about their feedback. The plan is crucial to the everyday well-being of Bakersfield residents from next year through 2045, and we urge the city to facilitate opportunities for all residents to provide their feedback on the plan. I want to note as well that the general plan has a map of disadvantaged communities in Bakersfield. And if you look at the map, there's a stark contrast between East and West Bakersfield. Almost all East Bakersfield communities are designated as disadvantaged communities, while almost no communities in West Bakersfield are disadvantaged. This occurred due to decades of planning decisions, and the 2045 general plan update is crucial to the future of the city and working to actually build equity for the city's residents, and therefore all residents should be involved thoroughly in this review. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Power. Madam Clerk, next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Letian Andrade Capellino.
Hello, good evening, council members and Mayor Go. My name is Letian Andrade Capellino. Thank you for your time today. I come to you asking to extend the date past August 28th for comments on the general plan. The community has not received sufficient notice nor opportunity to learn about the general plan. I ask that community meetings be held out in the community where and when people can easily attend. The current time frame does not allow sufficient time for community outreach or engagement. I just learned about the plan yesterday, and not from the city, from a community group. We as members of the community deserve the opportunity to have a say in what will affect us over nearly 2 decades. Please extend the deadline for the general plan, hold community meetings where constituents can learn and address items, and share the plan in Spanish, Punjabi, and any other major language in support of our multicultural community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Andrade. Kathleen. Madam Clerk, are there any other speakers?
Marigo, that was the last speaker.
Thank you. And now we'll go to Council. Councilmember Bashir Tosh.
I remember when we was working on that in Planning Commission when me and Larry years ago. I just can't believe it's finally years later. It's coming. My comments are, when we had the budget meeting workshops in all the different areas, I know some people didn't show up and some people did, but can we take that test that was given to the constituents, the people that it was the most passionate thing that they want, can that be blanketed into, I know I've looked at this, we looked at it with Paul, Phil, we've been looking at it for a long time, and a lot of the stuff is in there, it's good, but I think that feedback, because the thing that frustrates me about, and this is what I hear from a lot of my constituents in my ward, not just my ward, but all over the city, is that we'll have up these pop-up events, but the people that can go to that are people who don't have jobs or take a day off. Most people are not going to take a day off. They're going to work their jobs. And so we need to do a better job of our digital transmission and getting digital feedback from people. Even sending surveys, I think it's probably more cost effective than even setting up the pop-ups, but we're segregating majority of our constituents when we have these individual pop-ups because they don't. Like, I can't just quit my job in the middle of the day when I've got 3 kids to come to this and talk about what's important to me. And so you're only gonna have a very select group of people with their opinions making decisions for the other 90% of our community that are out working and facilitating life. And so I worry about taxation without representation, and that bothers me.
Yeah, Councilmember Bashir Tash, your thoughts are aligned with some things that we've been preparing to do as staff. First off, to your comment even about the budget town hall meetings, we did do a follow-up survey out digitally, broadly out to the community that actually had lots of social media notices about that, and we boosted it, and we had hundreds and hundreds of responses. I don't know what the total is today, but I had heard at one point we had 1,500 responses to that digital survey, which was significantly more than those individuals who came to our town hall meetings. And so we can look that, and it actually had a couple of questions that were a little bit beyond just the budget. It had some questions that I think are relevant to the general plan, to your exact point, but also we have that same surveying tool that we can look at how we can get some of this information out digitally during this, next time frame and period. So we'll work together with Phil and his team to think about how do we digitally survey and use those tools that prove to be, very successful on in the follow-up from the budgets as well.
Thank you. Now, Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a couple questions. We've talked for a long time about the traffic impact fee, and it was going to be worked out with the general plan, or the general plan had to come first, or where's that at, and where's it come now?
Councilmember Smith, I'd love to turn that over to Mr. Luis Tupetti to answer that question, exactly where it's at. I know that the traffic engineer, Mr. Starbuck, is working on it. It does need to come after the general plan, because the list of the facilities are established after the circulation element is adopted. How quickly, I don't know if Mr. Tupetti would have an answer to that. That, again, is, at least the first time around, was a lengthy process.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Right now, I don't have that information, but obviously something we're going to have to follow up as soon as this gets approved, and actually before that, we can start working on what the plan is and what the process is to do that.
If I may as well, Councilmember Smith, because council has brought this up before, it's not the first time the council has said we would like to get our traffic impact fees revised as timely as possible following the general plan and circulation element adoption. And so we've been looking at how do we parallel that as much as possible, as well as do as many things as we can to have that tidied up and close that loop as quickly as possible after both the circulation element are done and the general plan is done.
Thank you. And then and I've made these comments to staff, but I just want to make them in the public. The plans always have great policies and goals, and the plan sits on the shelf, and how do we get there? And unless there are timelines or specific actions, then nothing really happens. Like on the mobility, improved connections between neighborhoods and destinations. Well, what's that mean? To me, that means maybe we have a pedestrian bike grid as we have a arterial and collector grid, and people don't have to go the half mile to cross the street on the arterial or the collector. But those policies are not in here. It's just the nice vague, we're going to make it better.
Mr. Burns?
Yeah, Councilor Smith, those are great questions, and you and I have had conversations about that. Our intent is we have currently a contract also with Rincon with our zoning ordinances. Some of those things will be in our zoning ordinance. Some of those will end up also being our design standards within Chapter 16 of the municipal code. Some of them will have to get rolled into subdivision design manual. Those will all need to happen rapidly after the general plan's done. What does that mean? I think within 6 months of the general plan being adopted, we need to have those other documents. Because right now we have updated like our zoning ordinance that's different than our general plan related to housing. Now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to fix all the general plan items for our entire zoning ordinance, and it's not going to be in alignment with our current zoning ordinance. So it'll be imperative that we move forward with haste to get those done.
But does the general plan require those types of changes?
The general plan, when you're saying those types, specifically, it's how do we implement them? That still has to come back with those other documents. So when you say connecting neighborhoods, what does that mean?
Right.
So that really comes back to council in that next piece of the process. Is that a pedestrian way? Is that a bike and pedestrian way? Does that mean that there are space so far apart? That what we've done in our previous general plan, it was very rigid, where lane widths are specified, road widths. All those things were taken out of the general plan in this new proposed. So all those things have to be put in another standard that provides your council that discretion to change them without going back to a general plan amendment to do so. So I know that's a lot more explanation, but does it have to? What I'm hearing is direction from the council. We want to see specifics. So that's our direction in our zoning ordinance to make sure there's those specifics.
Yeah, it's not about zoning, it's about the transportation system and how it creates access.
Councilor
And
Smith?
it's not just a circulation element that shows collectors and beltways and arterials.
Councilor Smith, you're absolutely correct, but it's not required to put every trail, every location, every access point on a plan either. If you're wanting rigid trails through every quarter mile, that's not what our plan shows today. It's providing those opportunities as developments occur to require those connectivities. So that's why I'm saying in their zoning we would have that. We would require a pedestrian point within whatever, so many feet, or describe some a way that gives a designer some flexibility that's not completely rigid.
I appreciate that. I guess the problem I'm having is you keep going back to zoning versus street layout. And so I'm not sure where it shows up, but I think you understand what I'm saying, and it gets put in. Thank you.
Mr. Clegg.
I was also going to reflect to the similar sentiment that we do hear and embrace the feedback about having timely and time-bound milestones to achieve the things that we're going to do in the general plan, because it doesn't answer everything. It says we're going to go and do some additional things. But for the benefit of the public, has been shared with council that they have been identified in short, and medium, and long term with specific time frames of when we're going to get to those high, medium, and low priorities. And so we have listened to your council to identify what are the follow-ups that need to get done the quickest in this first 6 and 12 months following adoption.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith. Councilmember Coleman.
Thank you, Mayor. I too go back to the early days of this this general plan, and I remember us every time this came to Planning Commission to review progress, we asked about community involvement, and staff did an excellent job of attempting community involvement. They would do. Maybe instead of me saying it, why don't you say it, and Mr. Burns, about what was been done on community involvement during this process, and then I'll comment.
Councilor Coleman, I would probably request Ms. Acosta come back up to the dais, but there's been multiple outreach sessions, both the general plan, housing element. I don't have an exact number, but there were events in every ward for both housing element and general plan, multiples. We had some community-based organizations that were on contract to help us with that organization process. We had web-based working sessions on the general plan on different components of it. At the same time, we welcome, we heard comments earlier from Leadership Council, and if they have some ideas that would help us get this out to the community, I welcome that also. So I'm not saying that what we've done is perfect, but there's been a tremendous amount, more than we have done on other projects by far for the general plan.
I know that in the early days, it was, despite our outreach, it was difficult to get a significant number of people to provide input. Has that improved at all?
In my experience in our events, no, the count in a community, getting 20 plus people was a very, very good event. Majority of them were less than 20 people.
Okay. So let me ask you, what would be the impact of extending the date for this for a little bit more community outreach? Mr. Clegg talked about incorporating some digital response. What would be the impact of that, giving it another 45 days?
Councilor Coleman, anytime when we move out the deadline, it just moves out the approval period. So, because every comment that we get, we do need to take them in. We need to respond. Could we extend out a couple weeks? That's probably easily done. If you're asking to extend this 90 days or do some additional, that just means instead of having a general plan in the spring, you're not going to have it until the summer. That's really what this is about, is the more comment period we allow, you're pushing out the end result of the general plan.
So right now we have another 30 days yet a response, correct? We're saying we're going to August 28th now.
Yep.
So if we went to September 28th, it gives 60 days for total response. Would that be a deal killer for you?
Again, you're going to move it out, so you're most likely the general plan then will come back to you late April, May of next year.
So 1 month later than we were going to get it anyway.
Correct. And also, there was a public notice put in the paper on July 10th. So there was due public notice on that date.
All right, and I just wanted to tag on to Council Member Smith's comment about, what becomes of these plans. Because I remember having all the neighborhood charrettes and that kind of thing back in the late 90s. They kind of giving away my age a little bit, but, and being real jazzed up about this plan that was Vision 2020. And literally when 2020 came by, nobody even talked about that, whatever became of that plan. And did we achieve any of those goals or what? We don't know. And I think to this day, we don't know whether we accomplished any of that stuff. And so is there any built-in reporting or, analysis as we go to show how we're doing, or what's the idea behind that?
Councilmember Coleman, a general plan and a visioning plan are, first of all, way different types of documents. General plan is a document that staff is required to use, especially planning staff. I mean, this is something they use on a daily basis to ensure that projects are within the city adhere to the general plan. So it's more like an ordinance than a visioning plan or something like that. How staff is planning on addressing this, as City Manager Clegg talked about, some of these items are short-term, mid-term, long-term. We will have a tracking spreadsheet so that we're able to track those, to track when those items, those policies, or if there's a program that we're supposed to establish, did that happen, when that happens. So that's something that staff could bring back on an annual or biannual basis to talk about where we are down the road. There's not a lot of specific new programs, but it would be, I think, worthwhile to do something like that.
Okay. So what are you asking us to do tonight? All right, well, yeah, I'm still looking for more time for community engagement. So how do I do that?
You would add that right now into your motion, receive and file, and add an additional 30 days.
I would make that motion to receive and file and add another 30 days. That would take it to September 28th, plus or minus holidays.
Yeah, I don't know, Mayor, Councilmember Coleman, that I would give the exact date right now in the public. I would let staff figure that out, and we'll have to publish a new notice, and we'll take care of that.
I think so. And then
if your colleagues approve that.
If they approve it, thank you. But I guess I would want us to incorporate this digital technology in our, somehow incorporate that in there so that the people that aren't able to attend public meetings can still contribute to the process. So that would be my motion.
Anyone else wishing to speak? You have a motion? Please cast your votes. Oh, wait, just before we do that, Councilmember Bashir Tosh.
Yeah, technology, and I'm not the most mobile person to getting to the screen. To add to his motion, I'm just sitting here thinking how we can do this more effectively. I think if our local news agencies actually reported, like, hey, here's a link, here's a digital survey, this is what you do. I know that we've already done that with them in regards to our outreaches and stuff, but something digital. Again, I mean, it's just giving people at home that are taking care of their families, trying to plan their lives, working their jobs, a little bit more opportunity, as opposed to setting up an event at a park that only, people that can go to that kind of thing are going to go to.
Thank you. And now you have a motion. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved with council members Arias, Gonzalez, and Weir absent.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Council and mayor statements.
I don't see any requests, so the meeting stands adjourned at 7:18.